All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. A little bit late with this video, but I don't think anybody's really going to mind too much. Let's just go ahead and get right into what we usually do on Monday, starting with Snap Count Monday. We take a look at how much each player played, who got on the field, and just kind of judge what the rotations might be and what we might be able to learn from who actually played. So let's start with the offense here, like we always do. Starting with the offense, we got 64 total snaps, which consistency's nice, right? We have three straight games of 64 snaps by the offense exactly. And it's a decent number. It's not an amazing number, but it's pretty good. 64 is probably the average across the NFL, if I had to guess. It's right around there. So pretty good there. Ken Walker obviously didn't play, so we had a lot of Charbonnet, 51 snaps, which is the most he's played since week 3 against Miami. And then you had Kenny McIntosh with 15 and Halani with 2. So you can still see we don't trust McIntosh and Halani enough to really balance the offense. But that really shouldn't be surprising when McIntosh essentially does not play when Walker is healthy unless it's a complete blowout. So, not really surprising. McIntosh did actually make positive contributions in this game. He did some really good things. So, I'm not saying that, he played poorly, of course. He definitely didn't, but yeah, 15 snaps for him. Alani, first NFL snaps, by the way, first two snaps. He caught a pass. Good for him. Congratulations. But, yeah, 51 for Charbonnet. So you can see that they are only willing to be truly balanced when it's Walker and Charbonnet active, which makes some sense. They are our two best running backs. Wide receivers, wide receivers. You had here's an interesting one, interesting wrinkle. JSN basically on the field the whole game, 62 snaps out of 64, 62 out of 64 snaps, by far the leading receiver. And again, basically the whole game. He missed two snaps the whole game. And I'm guessing those two snaps were like goal line snaps where we had no receivers out there. Metcalf, distant second at 51. So you can see that he's still getting rotated about the usual amount. But JSN basically has completely taken over as the permanent. Again, I don't want to call him a number one receiver. I don't think that's true because he's not the guy that defenses are afraid of as much as Metcalf, but usage maybe. And then you got Lockett here at 43. So actually a little bit up from the last couple of games, but he got one target. So he's just kind of out there to be out there in some cases. In this game, more so than maybe any other game in his career, he was just out there to be out there. And I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to read too much into one particular game, but we also have a decent sample size of games this year where he has just been, present. And he does come up with the occasional nice catch, but you can see that he is coming to the end here very clearly. And there's no way we can be paying him $31 million next year, period. Jake Bobo, 17 snaps. That's the only other receiver who played. And Bobo, I don't think got targeted once in this game, so it's really a three-man show at the receiver spot right now. Even Cody White, who has done good things when he's played so far this year, doesn't really get on the field. We're keeping it simple. And who can blame him? I do wonder if Lockett could lose some snaps to Cody White at some point. But we've only got 4 games left, and it could be the last 4 games of Lockett's Seahawks career, if not football career. And my gut tells me that he's going to have one or two more big moments as a Seahawk before this is over. So I'm down with it. I'm down with it. I don't think that, Chenault's gone. So Young, Cody White, Aesop Winston Jr., who isn't even here right now, I don't think. Um, None of those guys bring enough to the table to where I feel like we have to get them out there. Tight end, tight end, tight end. A little bit different from last week. We didn't go like two tight end quite as much. It felt like Noah Fant, 38 snaps, so still a decent chunk of the game. AJ Barner, 24 snaps. So He actually, over the last 2 weeks, has seen, thankfully, a tremendous downtick in his snaps, which I think is good for him. I think that at his age and with his relatively unsophisticated route tree, he shouldn't be playing more than 60% of the snaps. In the last 2 weeks, he hasn't even played 50. I think that's probably going to allow him to be more efficient on the snaps he does get. And yeah, so Pharaoh Brown also way down 16 snaps. So all three of your top tight ends saw fewer snaps from last week. You can see that the strategy is a little different with these tight ends this week compared to the Jets game. And then Brady Russell gets 1 snap. Offensive line's very simple this week. The starters played all 64 snaps. Nobody else played at all. Cross, Tomlinson, Oluwatimi, Lomia, Lucas, they all grinded out 64 snaps, and that's all there is to say about that. So, I'm down with that for sure. Okay, let's go over to the defense. 71 total snaps, so a little bit more, mostly because the Cardinals had 2 turnovers and we had 0. Also because the Cardinals had their garbage time drive at the end of the game where they were trying to punch it in. That kind of gave them an advantage in plays without affecting the actual balance of the game. So, 71 total snaps on the defensive line. Leonard Williams did get back up to 50 snaps in this game, so I think that in a 71 snap game, 50 snaps for Leonard Williams should be reasonable. Of course, we are getting to the end of the year here. He is an older player. We're already basically allowing him to not practice at all. So I would like to see some games over the next month where maybe he doesn't play as much. I think that would be something to strive for a little bit here. Jaron Reed, 41 snaps, a little bit more than he's played over the last few weeks, but still within line of what he should be able to handle. And Murphy, 38. I wonder if you ramp up Murphy a little bit to try to take the load off of a guy like a Big Cat or a Reed, because both those guys are older as you get closer to the end of the season. Again, the other main issue is just we don't have any other defensive linemen on this team that we trust that much. So as long as the game is competitive, it's really hard to get these 3 guys off the field. We give a little bit to Hankins, 17 snaps, but not significant. And Roy Robertson Harris has just become like the guy who just sops up whatever little bit is left over for this team, 12 snaps. A season low for him as a Seahawk, by the way. So we clearly just don't see much there. He's workable, he's passable, but there really isn't a lot going on here that we feel good about when the game is competitive. And it's hard to blow out another team in this league. It just is. So it's hard to get away from it. I get it. I'm just hoping these guys have something left at the end of the year. Linebacker, pretty simple. Ernest Jones plays every snap. Knight gets 13 snaps off, plays 58. So that's kind of in line with what you would expect from your linebacker rotation, I think. In a typical defense, you have one guy that plays the whole game and one guy who's on the field for most plays. They come off the field for maybe really obvious passing downs, like third and 16 or more, something like that. So 58 snaps seems good. I mean, he is a rookie still. And then we get to our edge rushers, where we do have something to talk about a little more interesting this week because Uchenna Nwosu made his return. 21 snaps, season high by 1, technically. And he didn't get hurt during the game, so pretty good. We at least got that going for us. So we got 4 games left for him to round into shape here. Obviously, in that game, he had minimal impact, but that's to be expected, I think. So looking at somebody like an Uchenna Nwosu being added to this rotation, you can see the effect. Even though we had 71 total snaps, no edge rusher on this team played more than 41. Draymond played 41, and he's probably the guy that you view as being a little bit expendable. Even though he leads the team in pressures, Draymond is probably the guy that you look at and go, well, we can afford to just throw him out there a lot. And if he gets worn down, then that's kind of what he's here for, right? You're not necessarily going to be playing him as much in the playoffs. Maybe you're going to be playing the guys that you think are better. Maybe. Derek Hall, 40 snaps. Boye Mafe, 37 snaps. You can see how things just shift a little bit. where even though we played more than 70 snaps, it was a clean rotation because of Nwosu. So we definitely need him to continue to ramp up. And by the time we get to the end of this year, it should be a situation where nobody's playing more than 40 snaps as an edge rusher on this team, unless the game either is really, really competitive and we want to have our best guys out there the whole time, or I guess if the total number of snaps goes up over like 80 or something. Cornerback, very simple again. Witherspoon and Woolen play every snap except for one, so 70 snaps apiece. Pretty consistent with what we've seen all year. Joby played most of the game at 47 because you're going to be in nickel a lot, especially when you're playing with a lead most of the game. So Joby played a lot, and Joby played well. Joby continues to show that he could be part of the team going forward. And safety, again, we have it pretty simple. Julian Love and Kobe Bryant play the whole game, all 71 snaps. Rayshon plays 25 snaps, so a little more than a third. And that seems to be where we've settled in, more or less. I mean, actually, if you do the math, Rayshon mathematically is getting phased out a little bit, but still playing significant football. So it seems like we're trying to find the right balance here. And some of it is, of course, going to come down to what the other team does. That'll affect how often we get into those 3 safety looks. All right, so that's it. That's it for Snap Count Monday. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, it's pretty good all around, I think. I'm pretty happy with most of what I see, but there's also nothing earth-shattering here, I think.